Hey, Donna.
What are you working on there?
Hey, I'm putting together that box step that you asked me for some help with this morning.
Not that kind of box step. This box step. Hi, I'm Donna Jordan from Jordan Fabrics. Today we're going to be making a quilt called Box Step. This is a pattern from Cozy Quilt Designs. All of their patterns are really easy to follow, so I really like to use their patterns. This one takes 8 fat quarters, so I've picked out 8 different batiks here, mostly from Robert Kaufman, a few from Hoffman, and then we need 1 yard of an accent fabric. So this is a really fast quilt to make, so let's take these fabrics over to the workshop, get them cut, and start sewing. I've got all my fabrics cut off the bolts. Fat quarters. You probably have a fat quarter bundle at home. Here's my bundle of the same fat quarters we're going to use today. So I already got mine ironed and prepped and ready to cut. So we're going to take the pattern and we're going to follow the instructions and cut up all our pieces. So you need 8 fat quarters and then a yard of your accent fabric. And the yard can be cut into fat quarters also. You want to stack all of those up and cut as many as you're comfortable with. I don't like to cut 12 layers at a time. It's too thick for me, so I'm going to be working with just 6 fabrics at a time. So they've been pressed and they're all stacked up, and I've got 6 of them here and I've got the other 6 over there and all ready to cut. So I've got my selvages here and the cut edge here, and we're going to cut a 6-inch, a 6-inch, a 3.5, and a 3.5. So you don't have to remember the numbers. Those are all in the pattern. It's real important to have your fabrics ironed really, really flat before you cut. That way you get really accurate pieces. So I'm just going to follow the pattern here. I like to hold my ruler down with a weight. Makes it stabler. This pattern is really nice and easy because all the fabrics are cut exactly the same way. We're just going to do these 6, then we're going to do the other 6, and then we're done. Another 3.5. And then we're going to subcut these. I like to leave those cuts right where they were and turn my cutting board. All right, those pieces are all cut. All right, it's all cut, went really fast. Now we're ready to sew. That's the fun part. Each block is made with a center square, this color, the same 4 pieces around it, and then another color around that. So you want to use 3 distinct colors, and you want to use the accent color, which is that really light gold color, somewhere in every block. So I'll give you an example. Let's use a gold center. Then we can use these 4 browns. These ones are going to go, I think it goes bottom, top, side, side. Then we're going to pick a different color, not a brown. Let's use this gold color here. This is also, we're going to use this, the same color from each stack here, 1 of each size. And that'll make a really colorful, good-looking block. So you can't see exactly how the pieces fit yet because I don't have the seam allowances sewn, but you get an idea of the colors here. So we'll take this over to the machine and we'll sew them together. Here's the pieces we picked out. Now to sew the block together, we're just going to sew these small ones on top of the center and then the sides on. Then these 2 guys, then these 2 guys. So just use a 1/4 inch seam and remember to refer to the piecing diagram there. They're all cut exactly the size. I'm going to finger press everything away from the center. Now I'm going to put the side pieces on. Again, finger press away from the center, put the other side on, and we're just going to continue on this way. Top, bottom, side, side, till we have the whole block done, and that's what the block's going to look like. So we're going to just make 20 blocks, alternating colors, and then we're going to take them over to the ironing board and give them all a nice steam pressing. I have the whole quilt done now, all the blocks together, the borders on, and it's ready to go onto the long arm. So we are going to load it up onto the machine. I've got my backing pinned onto the machine here. So I use these big corsage pins. I've got it pinned along the top, pinned along the bottom, and it's reeled up nice and tight. And then I've got my clamps velcroed to each side so that the back is nice and flat. Now the batting is laid on here. It's just floating on top here. So we're going to baste it on, and we're going to use a nice straight stitch so that we have a straight line to pin our quilt top to. So the machine has a setting, a channel lock, so it will move sideways, but it won't go crooked. So I'm going to make a stitching line. You can't see it very well because the thread's pretty light, but it's a nice straight line. Now we'll take our quilt top and we'll put it right along that line, and we'll know that it's loaded on nice and straight. So we're just lining up to that thread. Now we're going to baste around these three sides, getting ready to quilt. I've picked out a quilting pattern. I'm going to use chestnut swirls. This is a swirly pattern, and our quilt pattern is pretty geometric, so I want something that has some contrast so that we don't have, square things on square things. So this pattern will be really good. Let's see, I've already measured the quilt. We're going to do 4 rows, and that's about right. That's giving me about 48 inches, but my quilt is 57.5. So the computer has calculated how many repeats I need and how tall each repeat is going to be. Now we need to measure the quilt. So the machine will do that on its own. So let's go over here. So we can click at this end, draw it over here. Press OK. Now it's all measured. So it knows that the quilt is 68.29 inches. So now we can calculate the repeats. We're going to quilt 1 row at a time. And we are going to start over in that far corner. So we're going to start at the upper right corner. So we just take the machine down there. Make sure we have the color thread we want. I'm using a nice light gold color. We're going to click at the beginning. And it's going to go to the starting point automatically. So if we like where it goes over here, if it's on the edge of the quilt, then we're going to tell it to go. Perfect. This is the best part. It's like the invisible quilter. So this is going to do a whole row. Then we'll advance the quilt and we'll do the rest of the rows. All right, we've got the whole quilt finished. Turned out really nice, simple blocks. Remember, only 8 fat quarters and 1 yard of the accent and made this whole patchwork top here. Now we have added a little bit of the accent for the border. Little border here. Got the backing, really nice quilting pattern on it. It was really fun to make. The block is very simple and it's just this same block over and over. The blocks are just turned different ways. And I really like how it's balanced because you've got the darks and the lights alternating and it just makes a nice abstract look, but the pattern is very satisfying. So grab your fat quarters and make a box step quilt. Thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Oh, goodness gracious. Box step.